It's amazing to see that the trees are competing with each other. For what? To give. Competition to give. That's a nice basis of competition. Usually we're competing to get. I'm competing with this guy to get a job, and he's competing with me. I'm trying to get the job so he doesn't get it. Competition to win, or we say competition to win. I'm competing to win, to get the victory. But here let's competing to give. They're competing to do what? To give things to Radha and Krishna. No one's getting anything. Whether you give the most or the other guy gives the most, everyone's giving, and everyone gets the same return. No one gets one. It's not win, place, and show. Not that one person comes in first, the other person comes in second, third. Win, place, and show, they say. Everybody wins. And the spiritual firmament is win-win. I win, you win, we all win. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful place. Say wonderful. It's a wonderful place. I mean, we talk about this concept. At least I never heard about it till the last 10 years or so. I guess it's some new twist in business dealings or so. Stephen Covey or somebody like that. 7 steps to success, or 7 steps to rebirth, or something. And then, but before, when I grew up, it was like win and lose. You win or you lose, bus. There's no in between. There's no question of dual winners, isn't it? How can you have 2 winners? You have a race that 2 guys win. How's that possible? Even in horse racing, they say won by a hair. You know, the one whisker of the horse was further forward than the other horse. Photo finish. They have terms like that. Photo finish, and they take photos and they say, "Oh, this guy's nose was 1/4 inch more than the other guy's nose." That's how they measure. So someone wins and someone loses. Someone gets a trophy and someone cries. But in the spiritual world, everyone gets the trophy. All are winners, none are losers. So all the trees are competing to what? To give. To give what? To give their ornaments, whatever they have, whatever they can produce and create. To give their fragrances, their garlands, their garments, their foodstuffs to the divine couple. There's a couple of rickshaw trees. We read in it's a very astounding description. I forget where it is, maybe going to Lilamrita or one pastime, I forget. That the gopis, when they bathed in Madhyan Lila at Radhakund, and they all took bath there, when they came out, they all expressed a desire to have new clothes, to wear new clothes. So then, what was happening at that particular time is watermelons were in season. So then inside the watermelon, Brinda Devi stuck a set of clothes for everybody. Inside the watermelon. There's some pastime. So then they opened the watermelon and found a set of clothes inside. It's like something extraordinary, like, hallucinogenic or something. Clothes inside the watermelon. So the trees itself, it says that they produce dresses and they produce ornaments. Okay, flowers and garlands and honey, beehives. Okay, that's standard fare. We see that and even in this world. Have you ever gone out to a sari tree, or a choli tree, or a chunari tree, or a oil tree? You go to a tree and there's little bottles of oil hanging on the branches. It says that fragrances, ornaments. You go to a tree, a gold bangle tree, and you shake the tree and all these gold bangles, like you shake a tree and fruits come off. And you gather up all the fruits and enjoy them. So a kankan pear, kankan briksha, you shake the tree and all these gold bangles fall off. So the trees are providing ornaments and fragrances and garlands and garments and foodstuffs to the divine young couple. So these are some wonderful services that the trees do. So what do we draw from this? Okay, the devotee, Jivera Surpaya Krishnarnityadas, the devotee is Satchidananda Rupam. And his body is transcendental. Diksha Kali Prakrita Deha. At the time of Diksha, one gets in a Prakrita Deha, transcendental body. And there's two bodies existing. There's a transcendental body coexisting with the Prakrit Kalevaram, the material tabernacle. But it's there, it's already manifesting, just like the soul comes out of the womb, he has a body. And he'll be an adult male. It's already there, but now he has to grow. He's got it. He's just some little baby and now he has to grow. So Diksha is like babyhood, it's like birth. It's called Dvija. So what's born in the heart is our Prakrita Deha, Diksha Kali Prakrita Deha. The spiritual body takes birth in the heart. Then it develops by sadhana bhajan, by meditation. And gradually the material body drops and that body manifests. Just like the caterpillar drops his body and becomes a butterfly. The tadpole gives up his body and becomes a frog. So the Nityabhata Jiva gives up his conditional body of ignorance and assumes his Nityasthita Deha and goes off to the spiritual world in the Prakrita Dham. So the more that he touches that Dham, Prakrita Dham, the sooner his body develops and manifests and expands with all the qualities and bhavas necessary to enter and serve in the Prakrita Dham. That is what bhajan is all about. Bhajan is about developing a Prakriti bhavas, transcendental emotions, transcendental feelings. So these devotees these tree devotees, these devotees in the form of a tree, they're atmas, they're living consciousness, and of course they're in these bodies of trees, but their expression of devotion is not limited to their body. They're able to express unlimited avenues of devotional offerings, even from the vantage point of a body of a tree. So we're not thinking, I'm a tree, I can only offer fruits or flowers or honey from my branches. There's no limit to what I can do. In Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada said there's no limit to the expression of bhakti. Bhakti cannot be impeded cannot be stopped or hindered by any material impediment. But no, bhakti is transcendental. So the body and its conditions, we have to follow some rules and regulations in terms of Archan Marg and Vaidhi Sadhana. But in terms of seva, we can do Manasi seva. Bhakti can go on and on and on. Because bhakti is ultimately an expression of the Atma, not the body. Bhakti is an expression of the Atma, not the mind. Bhakti is transcendental, not material. So the transcendental expression of bhakti is now operating through material body and senses, and it appears to be somewhat limited, what we think we can do or what we can do. But the trees in Vrindavan, they're also devotees, they have a particular external form. So we might say, I'm a human being, how can I produce flowers? How can I produce clothing? How can I produce ornaments? How can I produce foodstuffs? We can do all these things. We can do all these things. As human beings, we can produce ornaments, fragrances, garlands, garments, foodstuffs to offer to Radha and Krishna. There's no limit. Because our form enables a more fuller expression of consciousness and conscious will, the human form. But when we come to the transcendence, then any form of devotee, whether he's a tree or human being or a peacock or whatever, they can offer any type of service. Anganiyasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. So this is the tattva, that there's no limit to bhakti, there's no limit to the expression of bhakti. So when a devotee starts to give up his false ego and identify as a pure servant of Guru and Gauranga and Krishna, then he assumes the spiritualized quality of the iron rod and fire. He becomes fireized or spiritualized. He starts to assume a type of unlimited ability and a type of a kind of power by which you can do many things. You can do many inconceivable things, all from the human form. He can influence those around him or influence those at a great distance, or he can even change the shape of the world. A devotee of the caliber and transcendental transparency. Prabhupada was transcendentally transparent. So much of the pure chit shakti and spiritual energy was flowing through him that he was able to change the course of the world in a significant way. And it's going on even 40 years after the disappearance of his external form. His bhakti prabhav is shining on and ever new waves of influence and productivity and spiritual benefit for people all around the world through his taste, through his movies, through his vani. His Guru Vani, his Bhakti Vani, eternal sound vibration, Shabda Brahman. Some people have doorbells, and you ring the doorbell, it says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Some of our students have these doorbells. And you're talking on the phone, and you hear, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And so you're hearing on the phone, people are hearing in the house, the man at the door is hearing it, and it's Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna mantra, bhakti, transcendental vibration. So these trees, it's not out of the question for a liberated soul to be able to offer a variety of fantastic services. Garlands, fragrances, ornaments, garments, foodstuffs. The divine young couple. Nature of the trees in Vrindavan. That they're doing so many wonderful services. And this is chapter 3, verse 98. Glorifies Tulsi. Tulsi is a little tree in Vrindavan. She's little but big on devotion. She's Amsha of Radharani. Vrindadevi's the Kaya view of Radharani. And Vrindadevi expands as a little bush, little tree. Like a tree, little tree. Baby tree. But she's small in size but big in service. Sri Krishna Piya Divya Ganda Tulasi Bedar Anantaistata Santaner Harichandaner Aganite Kapadrumanan Vane Diyaneka Suparijata Vipaner Mandar Vrindarapi Rajishno Harivalabaish Chabosho Nipai Kadamber Vite. This land of Vrindavan, Sri Krishna Priya Divya Ganda Tulasi, is nicely decorated with unlimited transcendently fragrant Tulsi plants, which are extremely dear to Krishna. This is the translation of Sri Krishna Priya Divya Ganda Tulsi. Sounds a lot better in Sanskrit. Sri Krishna Priya Divya Ganda, Tulsi as Divya Ganda. She's very dear to Krishna. Sri Krishna means that she's very dear to Radha and Krishna. Tulsi is very dear to Radha and Krishna. And she has a transcendental fragrance, Divya Ganda. And moreover, her plants are very dear to Krishna. Innumerable small Tulsi plants, Ananta, as well as many sandalwood trees and desire trees increase the beauty of Vrindavan. Hari Chandan means sandalwood and desire trees. Aganita Kalpajuman Vane. These kalpavrikshas, they increase the beauty of the forest. This abode of Vrindavan is also decorated with parijat, mandara, nipa and kadamba trees, which are extremely dear to Sri Hari. These are all, of course, lila vrikshas. All these trees are Harivalava. They're all Harivalava vrikshas. Harivalava kalpataru, very special category of tree, Harivalava. They're beloveds of Hari. And they play key roles in his pastimes. These particular trees that are mentioned here are all mentioned also in Rasa Panchadaya. When Shukadeva Goswami, when Krishna left the Rasa dance, And the gopis went searching for him. And of course he left with one special gopi, Radharani. But as they came from tree to tree, then they would say, "Oh Nipa tree, have you seen the son of Nanda pass this way? Oh Mandara tree, oh Parijat, oh Kadamba tree, oh Ashwat, oh Ashoka tree, oh Plaksha tree, and Nyagrodra," and all different types of trees, and they're all being mentioned here. And they're very dear to the Lord because these trees, they have different types of flowers, and they serve Krishna in his different pastimes when he's decorating Radharani, and they also serve Krishna when the gopis are picking flowers to make for him. And he often interacts with these particular trees, Mandara, Nipa, Parijat, and towards Tulsi, goes without saying. These are special trees. Kadamba is number one primary tree of Krishna's favorite. What's Radharani's favorite tree? Tamal tree. Favorite in some ways, and not favorite in other ways. Kadamba tree is also a favorite to Radharani because she likes to pick flowers from that tree, make a garland. Because it's Krishna's favorite tree, so Radharani's favorite tree. Your favorite is my favorite. Whatever you like, I like. Like someone might say, "What do you want to eat?" "Oh, whatever you want, I'll take." So Radharani she knows that Krishna too much likes Kadamba flowers, so then she also likes. But she doesn't climb the trees, Kadamba trees. Krishna's like a monkey. Krishna, he climbs the trees, because cowherd boys are special, they have specialities. I don't know how many of you ever, because you're all from the city, but if you grow up in the country, climbing trees is one of the main things you do. It's a challenge. Boys like a challenge. Any kind of challenge, boys like to take it up. Challenge, competition. It takes a lot of strength because some trees, they don't have any branches for about 10 feet, so you have to hoist yourself up there with monkey legs and inch your way up the tree and then get to the branches, then you can fly up to the top. So Krishna, he climbs the Kadamba trees also, and it's a very good place. Kadamba trees are very good for climbing because the branches are even on both sides. They go like this. Some trees are alternating branches. I think Tulsi is also even, but she's a little, have a branch here and a branch here and a branch there and a branch here. So Radharani, her favorite tree in one sense is Kadamba, but also the Tamal tree plays a key role in her pastimes, because the Tamal tree reminds her of Tamal Krishna. And in moments of separation, she embraces the tree, and sometimes she mistakes the Tamal tree to be Krishna. When a peacock perches in the upper branches of the Tamal tree, and Radharani sees the peacock, she thinks it's the peacock feather on Krishna's head. And by Vibram and whatnot, she maybe sees Krishna in a distance, or sees some gopi with a yellow sari like Tunga Vidya, and then she mistakenly thinks that this dark, curvy, bent tree of Tamal is actually the body of Krishna, and he's wrapped with a yellow dhoti, pitambara dhoti, and peacock feather in his hair. She goes and embraces the tree, and then collapses in ecstasy. And one place in Padyavali, I believe it says that Radharani takes the black juice, or some juice that comes from Tamal tree. She taps the black juice like a maple sap, and she takes that juice and she makes a painting of Krishna on the floor of on the Braja Raj, an outline of Krishna, and then she lies on that picture when she's in separation, to have the sensation, Nam Rukun Lila, that Krishna's form is a Braja Raj Murti. We have Chitra Murti that can take some canvas and paint the Lord and worship the Lord. Many people do. And the Murti made of, Prabhupada says that Murti can be made of 7 substances. Can be made of metal, stone, jewels, wood, and also clay, and painting also. And of course Manasik Thakur. So Radharani would make a Murti out of Tamal juice, black Tamal juice, Tamal Ksham, paint it on the ground, and then cry in separation, lie on that image of Krishna, and it's a Braja Raj Murti, you could say. The tamal trees, and sometimes the gopis, they play a trick on Radharani, and then she knows that once sometimes she's embraced the tamal tree, and the gopis would laugh and say, oh, when you're praying to be Brahm, you've embraced the tamal tree. Look, see, Shama's coming from a distance. And sometimes other times she's in Brahm, and then they say, oh, go embrace your Sham, and Sham just stands there. Sham is coming to see Radharani, then he just stands there like this. And freezes like he's the branches like a tamal tree. Dark and glossy chest like the dark and glossy trunk of the tree, and arms bent this way, that way, and the peacocks and the branches and this and that. So then the gopis say, oh, look, Radharani, this tamal tree. And she says, no, she said, why don't you, and they joke with her, they say, Radharani, why don't you embrace the tamal tree? Krishna just stands there. She says, no, I'm not, you embarrassed me last time. I did that before, and you all laughed at me when I embraced the tamal tree. I'm not going to embrace. I said, no, just go ahead and see. She said, no, I'm not going to make a fool of myself again. And embrace that tamal tree. So Krishna's standing there, he's getting a little impatient, but somehow he's holding his own. And then Lita kind of pushed her, come on. No, go ahead, just try. See, maybe this one's different. So then she puts her arms around the tamal tree, and all of a sudden the branches go like this and go around her, and then she gets a warm, loving embrace. Ananda Kanda Bhagavan ki jai, Aj ke Ananda ki jai, jai Shri Radhe Shyam. So we'll continue with the glories of Vrindavan tomorrow. Braja Krimi Mahima. Braja Krimi, I didn't say cream. Braja Krimi Mahima. The glories of the worms of Vrindavan. Because now we've gone from dust, we've gone from grass we've gone from the dirt to the grass, to the lotus, to the trees. So these are the vegetable kingdom. Now we're going to animal kingdom from the lowest life form. So this will be, we're taking evolutionary progress here. Maybe from blade of grass, and then we become a lata, then a tree, then we're lucky we become a Braja worm in Vrindavan. So we'll hear about how a birth as a worm in Vrindavan is the very topmost birth. And then we'll hear about becoming a worm in our next life. And then we'll hear about obeisances to the worm. So you never knew that worms had it so good until you hear about the worms of Vrindavan tomorrow. So we're on this chapter 17, verse 117. So this is a new section called Braja Krimi Mahima and other topics. The glories of the worms in Vrindavan. Na satyake lake sprihayati mano brahmaya padavinam. Na vaikunte vishnorapi mrigayate parshadatanum. Param shimad vrindavana sarasa bhavotsava batam. Nivase danyanam sabahu krimi janmapi mrigayate. The author says, my mind is not attached to the post of Brahma in Satyaloka, nor the position of the Lord of Vaikuntha, nor do I want to become a parishad of Lord Vishnu. I have no qualification to be a servant of Sri Radha. So, my Lord, even if I take birth as a worm, let me take birth in the house of devotees in Vrindavan, who are always engaged in Radha Krishna Bhakti, an ecstatic Radha Krishna Bhakti. Bhavotsava Bhatam Sarasa Param Shrimad Vrindavana Sarasa Bhavotsava. Bhavotsav, festival of bhav. Yeah, that would make sense. Vrindavan is Sarasva. Spriyati. In this first translation, we just recited in English, the idea in the Sanskrit being understood here is that the emphasis is on Vrindavan. Because wherever one is posted, whether one is posted on Brahmaloka or Vaikuntha, he will be engaged in seva. These are serving dhams. These are locations where people serve. People serve in Satyaloka. In the subterranean planets, people enjoy. In Earth planet, there's enjoyment and some idea of seva. On the heavenly planets, there's lots of enjoyment. Here there's enjoyment and suffering and seva. In heavenly planets like Swarga, there is enjoyment and hardly any suffering, and not much seva, little seva. But as you go up higher, Janaloka, Maharaloka, Tapaloka, Jana, Maharatapa, then Satya, then seva becomes more and more prominent, becomes the most prominent activity. All the living entities are there, are engaged in different types of mana seva, manasic seva, because they're in more and more subtle bodies. They're not enjoying the gross pleasures. So in Brahmaloka, the body is practically only buddhi, intelligence, and consciousness. Consciousness and intelligence is there. So everyone is engaged in service. Brahma is regularly hearing Harikatha and speaking Harikatha with so many sages and rishis gathered around him, thousands of sages and rishis. What the author is saying that I don't want a birth. I don't want the topmost birth in the material world. What is the topmost birth in the material world? Not to be Indradev or Agni or Chandra or Surya, but the topmost birth in the material world is a post. Like someone say, what's the topmost post in the Indian government? MLA? No. Then? There's MP, then there's President, then there's Prime Minister. There's MLA, let's say there's Panchayat, you're the head of the Panchayat, the chairman of the Panchayat. Radhakund has a Panchayat, and there's a chairman. So bigger than a chairman is a district. The DM, district magistrate. Bigger than DM is MLA, whatever that is, Legislative Assembly or something like that. Then bigger than that is a minister, MP. Then bigger than that, bigger than that is Minister of Parliament. Bigger than that is Chief Minister, or Chief Minister's
MP after MP, CM.
So CM, because CM is local and MP is national, but CM is big.
CM is state president.
Yeah. Well, who's more powerful, MP or CM?
CM.
Because he's controlling the whole state.
Yes,
MP is representing a whole country to some extent. At any rate, you have the idea. So in the administrative government of the universe, there's also posts. MLA, chairman, etc. So Brahma's up there. He's the top. Indradev is like MLA or district magistrate or something. Indra's like district magistrate. So Brahma, these are all positions. So he's saying, I don't want to have any of these posts. He's saying, I don't want the highest post in the material world. I don't want to live in Brahmaloka. That's what he's saying. He's saying post. You see, that's why he said post. It's a post. It's not a name. It's a post. Prime Minister is not a name. It's a post. So Brahma is not it's a post. They have all different, there's so many different names. They say this one, that one. So, he's saying, I don't want to be the topmost post in the material world. I don't want the topmost post in Vaikuntha. What's the topmost post in Vaikuntha? To be Vaikuntha Nath. That's what he says. I don't want to be the Lord. So he said, I don't want to be the topmost post of the topmost planet in the material world, Satyaloka. And I don't want to be in the topmost post in the topmost planet in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, be Lord Vishnu. Do you know what I want? I want to be in the lowest post in the earth planet in Vrindavan as a worm. That's Trinata peace in each in Haturari Vasuvishna Amani Namani Kirtanya Sadhari. Living consciousness, living humble consciousness in action. But he's making some conditions. He's saying, I want to be born in the house of devotees in Vrindavan. There's a Kita Janma. There's a bhajan by Bhakti Thakur which Prabhupada sings, where he says, Kita Janma Hao. Manasa Deha Deha Joho Kitchamo. So he's saying that, he's saying, he's mentioning here, this is what I really want. I really want to become a maid servant of Radharani. A servant of the servant of Radha. Gopi Bhartu Padakamayor, Das, Das, and Adas, Dasi, Dasi, and Adasi. But it's not possible. Oh, I know what I am, and Krishna knows what I am. So maybe I shouldn't set my goals very high or have a very high aspiration. I should simply rather focus on some low birth, but at least let me be somewhere connected to Vrindavan. Because worms are tightly connected to the Braja Raj. That which is worshipable, that which is honorable, that which is worn on Krishna's head, and from Krishna's feet it goes to Radharani's breast, and from Radharani's breast it falls down to the, Krishna puts his feet on Radharani's breast, and then the dust goes there, and her kumkum goes there, and mixes with the Braja Raj, and Krishna walks, and it falls in a blaze of grass. Maybe it falls in the Goma, Lata, Roshadinam, and Uddhava gets some. Or maybe it falls in a blaze of grass, and the Palinda women see it. They see it shining and sparkling red and effulgent with all kinds of bhavas and Mahabhav shining through the grass, and a beautiful reddish kumkum sprinkled with the shamras of Krishna. Then they take that, they rub the grass, and they rub it on their breasts, and the Palinda women get relief. They feel more satisfaction and happiness in their hearts and minds than they do when their own husbands embrace them and kiss them. Just from that distant contact with the Braja Raj that's mixed with the ecstasies of Radha and Krishna. So the worm, of course, he's contacting the Braja Raj 24/7. He's living inside of it. He's eating it, digging it, eating it, living in it. So Prabhupada Saraswati is thinking this is a great way to be in contact with the Braja Raj. Saints come here and they do Dandavat Prikrama. Sometimes they do rolling Prikrama. I saw one saint who was doing rolling Prikrama of Govardhan. And also I've seen in Vrindavan. They just roll. It's called dust rolling. It's one of the international competitions, dust rolling. So he's feeling, I can't make it to the big time. I can't get where I want to go, so let me be somehow connected to Vrindavan. Just see the power of Vrindavan, that he's not aiming for a very high position. Just let me be there. Because if I'm in the house of a devotee in Vrindavan, like house of devotee, worms usually live in the ground. They don't live in this house. You don't find a worm in the floor. They're in the yard. So everyone has a house. There's no such thing as living in NRI greens. Because nowadays, if he prays, if he comes by chance, he prays to become a worm in Vrindavan, he won't find any ground. There's no earth anymore in Vrindavan for him to take birth. And all the devotees live in apartment houses 20 stories above the ground. So you can't because when it says I want to take birth in the house of a devotee, obviously it means born in his yard. Because in those days, 500 years ago, everyone had a little bit of land around their house. Houses were actually made that way. All the Vedic house was made as square shaped. There's 4 walls. In the middle is open. In the middle is land, earth. And that's the Vastu Purusha's sitting place. And it provides air and light and blessings. like Gurukul building. If you saw the Gurukul building in Vrindavan ISKCON, it's designed by my godbrothers, Survya Vipalyantam and Das. And he incorporated the Vedic design for a proper Gurukul building, very healthy building like that. And so this is his prayer that he'll be born there. Vrindavan Sarasa. Sarasa means nectar. Bhavutsa means festival of Bhav. So this is what he's saying here. Of course, creamy generally is translated as worm, but that translator is including insect. So this is his expansion, but insect, even in Sanskrit, is kita, is insect. And creamy, there's a planet, hellish planet called Creamy Loka, and there in the Bhagavatam, 5th canto, describes Creamy Loka as a planet of worms. So many worms are there, eating each other, whatnot. So now we're starting, this is a wonderful section here, this creamy kata. Braj creamy kata, the wonderful topics about the glories of the worms. I mean, we've gone pretty far now. You worship rocks, you worship wood and rocks and trees. Now you're worshiping worms? You guys will never stop. First you take a piece of wood and carve some figurine, and then you say it's God. And then you take some plant, put it in your yard and say, this plant is the great devotee of God. Then you find some rock from a river, take it out of the river, and put it inside a golden temple and say, this is God. Now you're worshiping worms. I mean, the guys are too much. I'm going back to Jesus. So this is definitely, one has to keep on expanding his consciousness until finally he expands it far enough and long enough till he can reach the point of surrender and accept the impossible, then begin to worship what's impossible. There's one more verse here, which is, because we become so excited now about these glorious worms of Vrindavan, this next entry is become a Vrindavan worm in our next life. Since he's desiring it, he's saying it, let me be born in the house. Now I'm going to give the details of how that can be accomplished. This is chapter 2, verse 1. This is chapter 2, verse 1. Vrindaranye varam syam krimir api paramo no chirananda deho ranko pi syam atulya paramiha na paratrad adbhutananta buddhi sunyo pi syamiha Sri Hari bhajana lavanati tucharta matre labdo nan yatra gopijana ramana paramboja diksha sukhepi. Nan yatra gopijana ramana padamboja diksha sukhepi. Very interesting words in this verse. Chirananda deho. I would rather live in Vrindavan as an insect. So here now this creamer has become insect. As a worm. In other words, he's saying, Brindaranye creamer, Chirananda deho. I don't want to live in a Chirananda deha. Liberated soul is obviously in his Chit deha. And Chit deha means he's in transcendental consciousness and transcendental vibration. Chirananda deha. It says, I'd rather be a worm than be in a Chirananda deha. Because he says, as a liberated soul with an eternal body full of knowledge and bliss. So first he's saying, I would rather this than that. I'd rather be a worm in Vrindavan than be a liberated soul in a Satchidananda Deha. Not only that, I would rather live in Vrindavan as the poorest of the poor than live elsewhere with unlimited opulences. I would rather live in Vrindavan as a person devoid of any tinge of devotion to Sri Hari than live elsewhere with the desire to attain the happiness of serving the lotus feet of Krishna, lover of the gopis. So he's saying this, to follow this particular translation, what it may be a little confusing, but actually what he's actually saying, I would rather live in Vrindavan as a person devoid of any tinge of devotion to Sri Hari, than live elsewhere with a desire to attain the happiness of serving the lotus feet of Krishna, lover of the gopis. That's what this. So I may live elsewhere, but I have an aspiration to attain happiness by serving Krishna. Lavanati tucha arta. Arta matra. Even any slight goal tucha is considered insignificant. Arta matra. Even the slightest goal or objective I consider insignificant. And then he says Sri Hari Bhajan. So here he's saying Sri Hari Bhajan. Labdo, to attain none other than Gopijana Ramana, Paramboja Diksha Sukhe. Because this word Diksha and Sukhe, Diksha Sukhe Paramboja, Gopijana Ramana Paramboja, the idea, let's say, without trying to unravel what is difficult to unravel, there's many things here, Sri Hari Bhajan, because I don't see this Sri Hari Bhajan. He's saying tinge of devotion. I'd rather live in Vrindavan as a person devoid of any tinge of devotion. So Vrindavan Varam Syam Krimi. Hard to see that. Really hard to see that. Vrindarani Varam Syam Krimi Paramaj. That's clear. So Atulya Param Paratrat Adbhuta Ananta Bhuti. Because tucha arta means is object. Tucha means I don't have the slightest objective. I don't have the slightest desire for anything. I don't want anything. Sri Hari Bhajan, love to. It seems to me he wants to stay in Vrindavan performing Sri Hari Bhajan. Labdo. I want to stay in Vrindavan. I don't want to live anywhere else. I want to stay in Vrindavan doing Sri Hari Bhajan. In order to labdo, in order to attain, I don't want anything else, nan-yatra. I want to attain, nothing else I want to attain, but the lotus feet of the Gopijana Ramanas. Gopijana Ramana means that the lover of the gopis. The Ramana means the lover. And what is the description of that lover? He's Padamboja. Amboja means lotus flower. He has lotus feet. That Ramana Padamboja. I want to live in Vrindavan. I don't want to live anywhere else in any kind of position. I want to simply stay in Vrindavan performing Sri Hari Bhajan with the desire to attain the lotus feet of the lover of the gopis. And this, if I can attain this will give me the happiness for which my Diksha was given. This is Diksha Sukhe. And I don't feel these translations. He says, I don't want to, because it doesn't say napi. It says api. He says, I have no desire to attain happiness by serving. That's what he's saying. I'd rather live in Vrindavan as a person devoid of any tinge of devotion to Sri Hari than live anywhere else with a desire to attain happiness. Where's Diksha Sukhe? He's saying, okay, Sukhe means happiness. But Diksha, long I, Diksha is Diksha, initiation. So you were gone. But what? Because the phrase here says Sunyo pi syam iha Sri Hari Bhajan lavinati tucharta matre labdo nanyatra gopijana ramana paramboja diksha sukepi. So he says lavamatra. So he's saying tuch arta. Tuch means insignificant. Art means objective. Matre means a small amount. Because I don't have even the slightest desire to attain any material objective. Even the most insignificant objective, art, I don't want it. But what I do want is Sri Hari Bhajan. I want to perform Sri Hari Bhajan with what? Labdo, with the desire to attain. To attain what? Nan-yatra. Desire to attain nothing else, none other thing, nan-yatra, than the lotus feet of the lover of the gopis. Gopijana Ramana Padamboja. This is there, you can see the line. Gopijana Ramana, the lotus feet, Padamboja Ramana. Ramana Padamboja means the lotus feet of the lover of the Gopijana, of all the gopis. And this will And if I can attain this, this will be the happiness of my initiation. The fruit, the happy fruit, the fruit of happiness. Diksha Sukhe. So he's saying, I'd rather live in Vrindavan and live elsewhere as a worm. He's saying here again, so what I'm saying here in this entry is become a worm in our next life. I want to be a worm in Vrindavan. I don't want to be in a Sachin and a Bhari and Vaikuntha. So basically he's decrying mukti here. And he's decrying living anywhere in the material world. And he's decrying any kind of material objectives or material success. I don't want any of that. The point is that reminds us of Lord Chaitanya said, Nadarana janana sundaram kavidham va jagadisha kame mama janmani janmani shrade bhavatat bhaktir hoitaki toi. We're reminded by Prabhupada Saraswati, of course, is a Gaudiya Vaishnav, worshipper of Lord Chaitanya, and he's reminding us that there's no point. What's the point of mukti without Vrindavan? What's the point of mukti without the association of Radha and Krishna? So he's emphasizing Brajavas, Sri Mathura Mandala Stali, emphasizing living in Vrindavan in any type of form, in any type of situation, and totally decrying and denouncing any aspiration for any kind of liberation. Sarupya Mukti and Vaikuntha, Samipya Mukti, Salokya Mukti, Sharsti Mukti. To have any kind of Vaikuntha benefit of living in a spiritual body looking like Vishnu, or to live with the same opulence of Vishnu, or to live in proximity and closeness to Vishnu, or have a huge Salokya, attain the same planet of Vishnu. I don't want any of that. I'd rather be a worm in Vrindavan, or have some contact with Sri Hari Bhajan. This is really stretching. Prabhupada Saraswati, this is what happens, that he's living so many years in Vrindavan in such a high state of devotional consciousness that he's starting to see so many amazing things open up to his mind. And that's what happens as one lives in deeper and deeper consciousness, more and more spiritual consciousness and continual association with Radha and Krishna, then so many revelations and so many forms of enlightenment come. So his vision, his darshan, we say darshan, is so vast and extraordinary, it's very hard for us to keep up with it. But tomorrow we'll hear another verse, chapter 4, verse 57, about becoming a worm in Vrindavan. So this section is called Brajakrimi Mahima and other topics, the glories of the worms in Vrindavan and other lowly creatures. Because worms are doing Dham Seva. And what happiness they're getting, you have to ask a worm about that. You have to interview a worm tomorrow and ask him what happiness he finds from eating the Brajaraj, because I'm sure it's an ecstatic experience. And we eat some every day ourselves. And any true Brijvasi will eat a little bit of Brajaraj every day as part of his devotional vitamin therapy. I have met many Brijvasis. You think it's funny because you're stupid, but anyone who's lived in Vrindavan for 20 years or longer, and they start to understand the great glories of Vrindavan, every particle. And we've met devotees, Brahmins especially, and many great devotees. Sometimes they go out around the world for preaching, and they told me personally that they carry a little diva, a Brajaraj they happen to be followers of Swami Haridas from Banke Bihari, Swami Haridas Sampradaya. So they go to Nidhivan, which is the Prakat Stali of Banke Bihari, and the Bhajan Stali of Haridas, Swami Haridas, and also his Samadhi is there, a very holy place for anyone, for that matter, to go and visit, especially the Prakat Stali of Banke Bihari, and of course the Ranga Shala, the sleeping chambers of Radha and Krishna and Nidhivan. Very special sanctified place, very deep and high vibration there. So they collect some of the Brajaraj there, and then right from near the samadhi of Swami Haridas in the Prakastali manifestation place of Banka Vihari, and they take a little bit every day when they go to Singapore and New York and London, giving these pravachans and Bhagavad Saptas. And they, of course, it goes without saying that they take Juna Jal, and they put some in their water every time and take. This I buy a bottle of water, 20 liters every so many days. And as soon as I open it up, I put Radhakund water and Jamuna water inside, and also Ganga water, so I have Gaur Lila there also. This is Ganga water collected from Mayapur. You can see the vials on my shelf. I'm not a liar. I'm telling the truth. And this is what I do. Believe it or not. So I'm just following great devotees that I met, and I think I'm also following Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur. So I think I'll be in good company if I follow them. Crazy as it sounds, but it's a good practice. As I was saying about the dust of Vrindavan, how the worms are crawling around and eating the dust day and night. People come from Bengal and other places, and sometimes they save up all their money. Sometimes you meet Bengali widows or Bengali husband or wife that have been Gaudiya Vaishnavas their whole life. And they come here when they're about 70, 75. They're both about to die. And they've been hearing and reading and thinking about Vrindavan their whole life. But they had to work, they had to raise their families and save their money. And finally, once in their life, they got to come to Vrindavan. Maybe one and only time. And they so much value it, and they so much appreciate it. So when they come to Dhira Damodara temple, we would see many of these yatris when we stayed there for 3 years. And many of them were disciples of Pancha Goswami, Nirmal Chand Goswami, who was a Sevite in charge of Damodara Seva. Nirmal Chand Goswami, whose nickname is Pancha. He said, these are my disciples, and they've come from Bangladesh and Assam. And he said, see these ones and these ones, these people, this first time they've ever visited, please give them your blessings. He would call me out of my rooms, Prabhupada's rooms, because he wanted to introduce me as a white elephant or whatever, I don't know. You know, it's like when you're a Western person, many Indians, they like to show you off like a white elephant type thing, pink elephant. No, it's like a thing, if you have friendship. You're Indians, you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't have any idea. But I've had this happen many times because I'm whatever I am, whatever that is, Prabhupada's servant. So they call me out, so I want you to meet my disciples, this, that, and these things happen here and there. So we oblige the situation in service of our Guru and take the humble positions. Das was me, okay. And then I become more blessed. I become, in the onset, in the end of it, I become more blessed. I receive more Sukriti. And blessings by seeing them than they ever get by seeing me. But Krishna's a very tricky fellow, Chatur Krishna, on the pretext of calling me out to introduce me or show, this is a disciple of Swami Prabhupada and this and that. Swami Prabhupada stayed here. Basically, it's to glorify Dhira Damodara and his grandfather, his father, and this and that. My father, Gorachand Goswami, he was a good friend of his guru, this, that, and this thing like this. But I was so impressed that these men, these ladies and gentlemen, they would come, and then they would go to the temple, and they would go to the samadhis of samadhi of Rupa Goswami, and they would roll on the ground in front of his samadhi. Then they would take their hand like this and make with big. They would take both hands like they were doing a butterfly or something, stroke, and they would put their hands like this, and like this across the courtyard. Of course, then it was all dirt and a few stones here and there. But gather all this dust from the courtyard in front of Rupa Goswami's samadhi. Then they would smear it on their forehead, smear it on their necks, their arms, their chest, their breasts, just smear it everywhere and take it everywhere. With such, and the tears be in their eyes, with such devotion, such appreciation, such mood of gratitude and devotion. It was so touching to see. And we just plod along. We moved from Vrindavan like bulldozers. We just moved through like bulldozers or like some kind of lorries or something. We just drive along, make some noise and pass some gas. That's about it. Like a truck goes down the street. But when you see genuine devotees and how much they understand the position and exaltation of Brajadam and how they act with Brajadam and how they behave and interact, then you realize that we have a long way to go. Long way to go. Everywhere we go we walk everywhere in our 20,000 rupee track shoes and on our nice thick, super thick socks. Super thick. We want to have super thick socks. So we don't even, there's no way any particle of Brajaraj comes to our feet. And super comfortable shoes. And we're a little bit off the mark here. But great devotees like Prabhupada Saraswati, he's a South Indian Brahmin by birth, and he wants to be a worm in Vrindavan. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. So tomorrow we'll hear more glories of Vrindavan by the mercy of the Lord. Shri Radha Murali Dar Varadan Vrindavane Varam Karnika Bhagavat Parashara Mukyo Pyar Anya Traham Nakosh Chot Sahe Bhavatum. I would rather take birth as an insect or worm in Vrindavan than take birth as an associate of the Lord outside of Vrindavan. I pray that I become a worm in Radha Muralidar's supremely opulent Vrindavan. I am not eager to become even the most important personal associate of the Lord in any other place. So obviously Vrindavan is the place to be. Even if you're offered something else, you won't go. Rather be in Vrindavan. Let me just be a worm in Vrindavan, but somehow I want to be connected to Vrindavan. Verses like this, Prabhupada Saraswati is very much showing us the power of Vrindavan. That it's so powerful and so transforming that any contact with Vrindavan it will give one the highest perfection. It's not attainable anywhere else. If someone lives in some other holy dham, in some other holy dham of India, or even if someone lives in some other Vaikuntha realm of Ayodhya or Vaikuntha or Dwarka or some Vaikuntha planet or some setting in the spiritual world, still doesn't equal to being a worm in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is so superior, so grand and so original. This is the original place. Everything expands from here. The original form of God is Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan. And the original form of Bhagavati, energy of Shakti, is Radharani. And the original form of all the holy dhams is Sri Dham Vrindavan. That's why here we have Adi Badri. And it's told that's in the western side of Vrindavan, Kamyavan or Kaman. There's Adi Badri and Adi Kedar. There's Kedarnath and Badrinath. And the deities of Vishnu is there, and Narayana Rishi and Lord Shiva is there in the cave. Up the mountain of Kedarnath in Vrindavan, and Alakananda Ganga is there. There's a river coming down the mountain. Just like what was established by Shankaracharya. Shankara came about, 1,000 years ago or so, 900 years ago. And he established 4 dhams. Well, Badrinath, he just randomly established it there. There are many saints and Shastric references to say that, because it says Badrinath, Badri Dham, the Vyasadev's ashram was surrounded by Badri trees. Badri trees means the bear fruit. And that region of Badrinath, there are no Badri trees anywhere to be seen. Nowhere. Because they would die in the winter or roast in the summer, or at least in the winter they would die. But Vrindavan is full of them, especially Kamyavan side, western Vrindavan. And the place of Adi Badri is full of Badri trees, bear trees. And that river Ganga was there, then also the Saraswati was flowing in Vrindavan also. So Vedavyasa actually wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam in Vrindavan, in Adi Badri. So people go to the cave, and this is Vedavyasa's Gufa and all this. But our viewpoint is that this is the original place, that Bhagavatam is written here. Because it's a Samadhi Bhashya of Vrindavan, where he was able to perceive and collect all the rasas of Vrindavan by being here. This is a very interesting point. That's why it's called Adi Badrinath, because Vrindavan Dham has been existing for thousands and thousands of years, obviously. Krishna was here 5,000 years ago. So 900 years ago, when Shankaracharya was establishing his 4 dhams, he didn't choose to acknowledge the Adi Badri of Vrindavan, the Adi Badrinath. He went there to the Himalayas and established that place. It wasn't that there was a temple there, he established a temple there. This is our understanding. And this is the original place. So therefore, because Vrindavan is so original, Prabhupada Saraswati is saying, even if I don't want to be born anywhere outside Vrindavan or any dham or even be close to Vishnu. I just want to be close to Vrindavan. As even every particle of dust in Vrindavan is chanting the name of Radha. And Radharani's name is Radharani's Prem, and Radharani's Prem is her Prem Sarup, and her Prem Gun, and her Prem Leela. So even one pebble, one particle of stone, Kan Kan Bole Shri Radhe Radhe, Shri Radha Radha. Vrindavan me Kan Kan Bole Shri Radha Radha. The Goswamis and devotees of Vrindavan, they sing songs to glorify Vrindavan. That every leaf is chanting Radhe Radhe, and every particle of dirt is chanting Radhe Radhe. So just be here, somehow be in Vrindavan, be connected to Vrindavan, breathe the air, walk on the land, eat the dirt every day, drink the water of Yamuna, drink the water of Radhakund, Manasi Ganga, Pavan Sarovara, and always be in a worshipable mood, a mood of a servant, and a mood of a assistant to the pastimes of Radha Krishna and Vrindavan. A nice verse 58 we can read. Vrindavana guna vrindan yanisham amadanna ragena yovarna yati samakar na yati haramso dharmar nayati. Lord Sri Hari certainly becomes indebted to one who hears or glorifies the transcendental qualities of Vrindavan with intense attachment. So we're trying our best to do that. We don't have any intense attachment. Anurag, it says, anuragena. Anurag, that's quite an intense level of loving attachment. It says attachment, but it's actually an intense level of love, anurag. So that's, of course, comes at the level of prema. So no one can pretend to be there, but we just take it externally. We're trying, every serious devotee is trying to become attached to Vrindavan and trying to glorify Vrindavan in his best possible way. A person who continually with great love describes and hears the transcendental virtues of Vrindavan makes Lord Krishna heavily indebted to him. Now we'll turn to chapter 2 and read about this other entity. 267, 63. This is about dog, being a dog in Vrindavan. Not even a male dog who has some prominence, but a female dog. Text 67. The glories of a dog in Vrindavan. Varamiha Vrindaranye, Suvaraki Marana Mohana Dwari, Api Saramapi Ramapriya, Sakyapi Nanyatra no Ramapi Syam. I would rather live as an insignificant bitch at the door of Madan Mohan in Vrindavan than live elsewhere as a companion of Lakshmi or of Lakshmi herself. Oh, wow. Now that's really not very reverential towards Lakshmi Devi. Imagine going up to Lakshmi Devi. I mean, the Indians could never imagine this in 1,000 years. Dhanam Dehi, Janam Dehi, they're worshipping Lakshmi Narayan big time all over the place. Ask Birlas about it. Birla's established Lakshmi Narayan temples all over the place. The people have all these posters of Lakshmi, Saraswati and Durga showering coins and powers and blessings. And they have their little tiny Lakshmi yantras on their altars. They have their Lakshmi conch shells that they reverentially keep on their altars. And they have pictures of Lakshmi Narayan. They're praying and praying and praying, and they still poor. They were poor, and they are poor, and they will be poor. Because Lakshmi consciousness don't even work, because there's only one in the whole Earth planet existing, I think. And it's worth about 500 lakhs or something. It's a very rare thing. But it's very amusing to see people keep Lakshmi conscious on their altar. You have to put it on a pillow, and it has to be turned up like that so it fills up. You see. And there's actually, most of the Lakshmi conscious are actually some other, not even a conch, it's some other thing. It's an imitation, like. But they're not Lakshmi conscious, that's for sure. That's like, they're about as, Lakshmi conscious is about as rare as a makara, or a timingila fish. Timingila, if you can find. So he's saying, imagine Lakshmi, you go up to Lakshmi, listen Lakshmi, I would rather be a bitch than be you. I'd rather be a female dog than have your position. Well, that sounds insulting. It sounds disrespectful, irreverential. But this is Tungavidya's mood. Tungavidya Sakhi is Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. I mean, in other words, he's saying, listen, I'm serious about Vrindavan. I'd rather be a dog in Vrindavan than Lakshmi in Vaikuntha. And the devil says, I would rather reign in hell than serve in heaven. They have this phrase, I'd rather be a king and be the lord of hell than be a servant in heaven, said the devil. So this extraordinary, ecstatically pure Niskinchan Bhakta of Radharani, Prabodhananda Saraswati is saying, I'd rather be a dog sitting outside Madan Mohan's temple in Dwadasaditya Tila, getting a few scraps of the Pujari throws me some scraps here and there. I'd rather be a dog outside Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan than be Lakshmi in Vaikuntha. Now that's serious. You can imagine, you can go up to everybody in Vrindavan and say, would you like to be Lakshmi? Would you like to have all the opulence of Lakshmi? No, I'd rather be a dog. Now it changes our whole outlook now when you see the dogs. You know, the dog, we're looking at a dog and say, oh, you lowly dog. And then the dog, he's looking at us and say, oh,
Hari Purusha Bhajami Govinda Hari Purusha Bhajami Vino Prananda Maravinda Dayataksha Bharadam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandari Bhagavati Kamaniya Vishesha Shubha Govinda Hari Purusha Bhajani Angriyasya Sakare Driyavirti Bhanti Ashanti Kanti Kayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinaya Sadhu Jalavidyasya Govinda Adipurusha Bhajami Govinda Adipurusha Bhajami.
Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari. Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari. Dhira Damodara Ishaye Kana. Bhova Mandire Basi Kara Bhojana. Nandirani Deshi Bashi Giri Baradari. Baladeva Saha Sokha Vaise Sari Sari. Shukta Shakhari Vaji Lalita Kushmanda. Dalidana Durga Tumi Dadi Mocha Kanda. Dabora Mash Boda Rotika Gritana. Jaskuli Pistaka Kir Puli Payasana. Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara. Amrita Rasalama Dvadasha Pakora. Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali. Bhojana Kore na Krishna Hoye Kutuhali. Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Byanjana. Paramayanande Krishna Kore na Bhojana. Chale Bale Ladu Khai Sri Madhu Mangala. Babala Bajaya Deya Hari Bolo. Radhikari Gani Hari Nayane Akone. Tripta Hoye Khai Krishna Jasoda Bhavani. Bhojanande Priya Krishna Subhasita Bari. Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Kore Sari Sari. Asta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane. Anande Vishrama Kore Baladeva Sane. Jambula Rasalane Shambula Masala. Tahake Krishna Chandra Sukhe Nidra Deva. Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamara Dulaya. Apurva Sayaya Krishna Sukhe Nirayaya. Yasomati Anga Priye Danishtaya Nito. Sri Krishna Prasad Radha Unje Hoye Prito. हरि हरि सखी गण अवशेष पाया मने मने सुखे राधा कृष्ण गुण गाया हरि लीला एकमात्र जहाँ प्रमोद भोगारती गाय ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद भक्त वत्सल श्री गौर हरि भज भक्त वत्सल श्री गौर हरि श्री गौर हरि सहि गोष्ठ बिहारी श्री गौर हरि सहि गोष्ठ बिहारी नंद जसोमती चित हरि नंद जसोमती चित हरि भज गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला भज गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला भज गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला भज गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला
मधुरं मधुरेभ्योऽपि मङ्गलेभ्योऽपि मङ्गलम् मधुरं मधुरेभ्योऽपि मङ्गलेभ्योऽपि पावनं पावनेभ्योऽपि हरे नामैव केवलम् पावनं पावनेभ्योऽपि हरे नामैव केवलम् 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 ब्रह्मास्तमपर्यन्तम् सर्वं मायामयं जगत् ब्रह्मास्तमपर्यन्तम् सर्वं मायामयं जगत् सत्यं सत्यं पुनः सत्यम् हरे नामैव केवलम् सत्यं सत्यं पुनः सत्यम् हरे नामैव
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. How was the job? Maharaj, the cycle started. That's very nice. Assure you. Assure you. Maharaj, the front gate was locked, so I could jump over the gate. That's it. You're on the road, on the way. Thank you. You're on the way now. Yes. Don't stop. No anger, Maharaj. Yes. No anger. I'll go in the room. You can fly. Can fly smoothly. Yes, Maharaj. You go. Thank you. Thank you.